Hi, this is Abul Hussein coming to you direct from London, the United Kingdom, and welcome to another episode of the SMMA Mastermind podcast, where we talk about how you can start or scale your digital marketing agency, and we also bring on subject matter experts to share their wisdom with us. Now, if you are watching this episode outside of our Facebook group, make sure to find the link above or below this video. Now, with that out of the way, I have a very special guest joining me all the way from Canada, I believe. His name is Noah Dominique, and he is the founder of Strive Agency, or shall I say Agency Strive. And we're going to
Yeah,
talk to him about why he set up his agency, how his journey has been so far, and any other wisdom that he can share with us. Noah, welcome to the show.
thank you for having me, Abdul. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about like why why I started what I started Agency Strive. Um, Obviously, I'm not an entrepreneur at heart.
Mhm.
I have when I finish university, I just wanted to get into a job and start you know growing a company. Um, and it was difficult. I always have been in sales for most of my life. Different kinds of sales in transport, sales for SaaS platforms, in the banking industry with Moneris. So that's in the payment industry. And after a while, I started to have that itch of of wanting to start something, like
Mhm.
to be the captain of my own ship.
Right.
And it was a long journey. It was a long journey. It was not easy. And what I've noticed is that you have to read a lot before one of my friend, Ray Cherry, told me that it was really important to always read books in order for you to understand the world, and to also expand your knowledge. And this is one of the reasons that after a while, after reading some of those books about marketing and stuff, I decided to jump and to start Strive Agency.
Uh-huh. And obviously you've been going for about five years now. What services do you provide for your clients, and is there any particular industry that you focus on?
So I provide growth marketing services, and I focus on startup and small and medium companies. So the goal of Strive is to bring all those tools that we use in the corporate world and to help those startups with those tools to help them scale. So
Hmm.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
It does.
one
It
of the
does.
things, yeah. So one of the things that I've noticed was harder for entrepreneurs or startup is that sometimes they have a hard time finding the right customer, and they're focused on their product, but not always on sales and marketing,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
they could be great in their industry for coding a platform, or for anything, but related to their domain per se, their engineers, and whatever. And selling and marketing their product or services is not something that you're born with. You have to learn, you have to keep up to the page and up to pace with what the industry is going and where there's going. So I help them doing that.
Right. Do you have some examples of kind of work that you have done with your clients? Because obviously, growth hacking is such a big topic, and people have different kind of connotations about what it actually involves. So, how do you actually apply growth hacking for your clients?
Obviously, one things that I've really noticed is that uh, growth hacking per se is not always something that's really understood by your consumer or by your customer. So you have to help them understand what you do. So it starts with understanding who is their target market, right? At first, So helping them, doing a persona and everything. And from there, after finding that, we start like helping them with different kind of things that we're gonna put, because sometimes they don't even have like a website that's working properly. So we have to do the SEO, we have to do the Google Analytics, and from there afterwards we start trying to get them in contact with influencers and helping them grow faster. And one of the ways that we do that is by doing OKRs, so making sure that we have matrix, and we follow those matrix, and from there we start all kinds of initiatives. So we test those initiatives. It could be by doing something really like something on Facebook, let's say, right? We test different kinds of videos. So we ask them to do different kinds of videos depending on their target market, and we choose the geographic or location of where we're going to be showing all those advertising. And we start testing. We start doing all kinds of ads, and we actually look at the data to see what's working and what's not, and from there to start getting leads. And we follow the data every week, every month, and we can actually start tweaking it. Right. So is there a growth hack per se, like before, like all those companies? I believe that it's a steady job that you have to do in order for you to help them grow their business and get there, get to their goal. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you've got a background in kind of selling SaaS products. I do wonder, as an entrepreneur, why did you not go into that market and create your own startup rather than build an agency?
That's a very good question. For me, I get a kick out of, first of all, I respect all those people that decide to build a SaaS product, right? It takes tremendous energy, time, and resources, right? You need to have financing, you need to have like an idea that you're gonna go to market with. And I had some ideas in the past, but from what I understand, it was easier for me to help those companies from, well, even from a financial standpoint. I think it's easier for a company to, like the agency, to start it and to help them, doing advertising and everything that's related to that and growth hacking than just to start your own product. I think the money is not the same at all, right? But I'm not close to the idea of doing my own SaaS company in the future, obviously, because you touch with so many customers. After a while, you get ideas, right?
Right. And you've got a great, strong background in business development, getting sales through the door. A lot of the people who are like freelancers or micro agency owners, having that prospecting pipeline, or building that prospecting pipeline is something that they struggle with, especially if they're like a SEO specialist who has decided one day to open up their business. How does business development work for you?
To tell you the truth, because of my background, I was thinking about that actually. I worked for a company named Moneris back in the days. And if I have to go through the story, one of my friends, he told me that it would be great if I could get into the payment industry. So I decided to pivot and go there. I was in the transport before, so, and there is my manager at the time implemented a way of doing business, of going about business development, and he always told us, his name is Mr. Pizzi. He always told us that it's all about the numbers. So it was 40 visits and 2 to 3 close every week.
Right.
40 visits. So it was before COVID. So obviously, my market was the SMBs. So it was, small, medium companies. You had some leads from the banks, but you really had to get on the ground running and, like have grit and making sure that you get those sales. And from that, I got that, I got that business, that grit. So obviously business development is not an issue for me. I do it for my customers, I do it for me. And I think I got better at it because of the growth marketing, marketer kind of background that I acquired over the years. Now I'm able to target the right and pinpoint exactly where the customer is and to really profiling who they are. So I'm less of, before, you could be doing business development, but you just, you know, um, talking to customer just to talk to customer. Now I know exactly who they are. So I'll make sure just to know exactly what they do. So it could be, she's um, between 25 to 34. She has 2 kids. She works in HR in remuneration. I know that the like where she's evolving right now. She's a mom. Her husband is in, like, I don't know, he golfs. She's white. I know
Right.
exactly what exactly it. So I think it's a different approach. I think we
Mhm.
need to be really more specific nowadays because of the data, because of LinkedIn, because of all those tools that we have. I
Mhm.
think business development got a lot more targeted.
Yeah.
And I think the only way for companies nowadays to really make sure that they get their sales quotas is to be really focused on what they want.
Right. And that's a great example that you've given, obviously going out on the beat, selling door to door, and then profiling your customer. And for a B2C brand, that is exactly how you'd go do your segmentations and everything. What about from a B2B perspective, when I'm starting an agency and I want to sell to other business owners, what obviously we're not going to get all of that demographic data. What kind of approach works best when trying to sell to other business owners?
Well, I think you really need to know, first of all, if your services are going to really help them. A business owner is more critical of of what you're selling.
Hmm.
They're gonna ask you a lot of questions. So you really need to be able to understand their pain and how you're gonna make them shine. I think I think that's the way I go about things. I really tell them that I'm gonna be there to help them with their business and to help them shine or to help them to get to their goal. And it's really about understanding their pain and to making sure that by hiring me, I'm gonna help you ease that pain. I think it's really about that. If it's about sales, we're gonna work together, get to our goal, and we're gonna make sure to have daily standpoint or weekly standpoint to get to that goal. If it's about your website that you need to have like a lot more traffic, we're gonna make sure to put Google Analytics, hide the advertising, and do all those little things that you need to do to get the customer through the door. And we're gonna have stand-ups or weekly touch points just to make sure that are we on point? Are we on target? What's going on? Where are we going? Is it okay? Are you still happy with my services? I'm not like I'm always check up with them. Always check up, say, okay, I'm happy. Is there something that I could be doing better? So I think it's when you're dealing with another business owner, yes, you are their employee, but you're also you're also there. You're here to consult,
Sure.
and you need to make sure that we have that friendship going at the same time, without forgetting that you're here to perform.
Right. And in terms of your actual setup, is it primarily you, or do you have other people that you work with, or how does your operation work?
So it's in certain mandate, it's primarily me, like anything that's related to growth, it's me. If we're like doing like a e-commerce website, I have Arabelle that I'm working with. If we have something related to social media, I have Steve that I'll be working with. So they're working in my team, but also I have um, other collaborators like Smart Lab and other guys that if we have to tackle a big project together, I've been doing that for several months, for the several years now. So it's we get that relationship going, and yeah, that's the way we work.
Right. And obviously, we're, I suppose, hopefully coming out of a global pandemic right now with the whole vaccination
Yeah.
program. What impact has it had, if any, on your business?
A lot more Zoom.
Right, like, yeah. Yeah.
I think the global pandemic, before COVID, sometimes you were talking with customers, and you were telling them, well, I think you need to have like a digital strategy. You need to have an e-commerce
Yeah.
website. You need to do ads. You need to do this, and some of those guys were looking at me like, why? I mean, why? I mean, everything is going fine. I'm okay. I have those customers that have been coming in. I have a good relationship with them. I've been in business for 20 years, my friend. I mean, like,
That sounds all too familiar for some of the people that I work with.
I mean, I don't understand. I mean, yeah, I understand everything is digital, but me, it's the relationship, it's the personal relationship.
Hmm.
Like, okay, cool. Obviously, those guys are not around
Yeah.
now that the global pandemic has hit. And that's sad to say, but digital strategies, e-commerce have been booming. So, we don't have the same kind of conversation anymore.
Sure.
You know,
That's
it's
absolutely true. People
it's
didn't
not
end up.
they're not even they're not questioning the fact that they need to have like a digital strategy anymore.
Mhm.
Before, I had to convince them, and for me it was like just out of this world.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally understand. Now people are saying, how do we do more digital? How do we get digital? So you don't need to convince them now. They just, the world has moved on quite a bit over the last
Yeah,
12 months. So,
indeed.
when you started your agency, obviously you had a secure corporate job, and then you decided to do your own thing. I'm sure that was a bit of a jump, a bit of a risk at the time. How did you, I suppose, one, you always have friends and family thinking you're crazy because you're leaving something stable and going into the unknown. And two, obviously you're not going to have revenue from day one. So, how do you manage? How did you go about kind of planning all of it?
Uh, at first, you're thinking about it, and you start like, I read and I got like so many YouTube videos about like, you wanna start your vision, all those motivation, all those motivation videos, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna quit my day job, and my wife didn't want me to quit my day job,
Right.
right? Like, the only way for me to actually be okay would be for me to get fired, right? So I had that job where it was going well. It was going super well. But always be careful what you wish for, because that job was not related to what I was doing before. So it was in transport, not in transport, in energy, or anything related to energy. And I was like, I had that idea in my head, and I said, you know what? I hate this job. I hate this job, and it would be great if I could be fired
Right.
and get a package. Because if you, and it was 3 years already that I was there. I already had that, like, working on my business and everything, but I was like, oh, wow, it would be great. But everything was going fine. I was still performing. My last evaluation was great, 5 on 5. My manager was happy and everything. And after that, they said, well, we're changing vision. Noah, I got that call and they say, we have to let you go.
Right. Law of
I'm
attraction.
like, and I was like, for real? And when that happened, you're like, I cannot believe this is happening, first of all. Second of all, you're like, okay, well, let's negotiate. So you're not distraught. You're not like in that state where you're like, well, no, I want to keep my job. How come you're doing this? I'm not, I was like, all right, cool, guys. Well, first of all, what is the reason why you're firing me? So and so. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. So
Right.
now I want a package. Let's get a package going. And it was great. And after that, I was like, okay, good. Call my wife. She was not happy. But I told her it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be fine. So yeah. Obviously, I think it's the best case scenario. But the reality is, you need to plan because let's say if you don't have like some kind of blanket of if you're not financial savvy and you believe that you're going to be starting your business and everything is going to go fine, I'm going to tell you everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that you have that. You need to have money and you need to save, and you need to make sure to hit the ground running. So obviously, if you're doing a SaaS model kind of business, you need to secure that financing. You need to make sure that your business plan is really well done, and really ask for help. Ask for help. Ask about, like, there's so much information. We live in that world of where everything is a touch, like three kick strokes away. So it's you can't get information, you can't get financial help easily. So it's really about that. It's about knowledge, and it's about asking the right people and getting the right entourage, I would say, in order for you to help you to grow. If you're starting some kind of business where you need to input a lot of money from the start, because you need to be profitable after somewhere along the way, right?
No,
If you want to
absolutely. So, I mean, we're very quickly running out of time now. Final question for you, I suppose, is like, okay, you've been fired or you've been let go of. How quickly did you bring in revenue and sign your first client to, I suppose, keep the wife happy?
It took a month and a half.
Right.
And telling you, you have a different drive. If you're working for yourself, it's like you're jumping off a building. The adrenaline is there. You feel the pressure, but it's a different kind of pressure. It's a pressure where you know that whatever you're doing is for you, and you have to succeed. When you're working in a corporate job, there is all that cushion, right? When you talk with your manager, they're gonna tell you, well, say, okay, well, I have to start going, and I have to start talking with customers, and they're gonna tell you, well, no, it's okay, relax, man, it's all good. I mean, yeah, it's been your second day, but I mean, if
Mm.
if you're if you're if you're working for yourself, I can tell you, you're gonna be working 12 hours a day. I mean, for the first like month, and for the first months, you're always like driving, trying to making sure your website is nice, getting in front of the customers, making your ads, there's always something a little bit more that you can do to actually make it better. So it's a different kind of drive. I think it's being an entrepreneur for me. I should have been an entrepreneur since, I would say, what, 20 years ago when I finished university. But the reality is, I was not ready.
Mm.
I was not ready.
Yeah.
It would have been an epic fail at that time. But it's really about I think education. You need to educate yourself, talk with your people, and listen to your podcast, right? I mean, you could listen to all those guys that went through this the same way. That, I mean, all those guys have similar stories. We all have similar stories. Sometimes you believe that you're somehow special, but the reality is we all go through the same kind of, you know, jump and
Yeah.
hoops, I guess.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head there. Everyone has their own story, but the challenges are always the same. On that note, Noah, Dominique, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Abdul. Really appreciate it.